Despite some of your typical horror movie cliche formula type nonsense that happens often in a horror film, this was actually pretty decent. You know, right before I started to film this review, I almost put the doggone earbuds in my ear. I caught myself, but I stopped in time. Okay, on to the review. Y'all, I didn't take a ton of notes for this movie, Pray for the Devil. It premiered today. It's coming out officially tomorrow, Friday, oh my gosh, what the heck day is it? I don't even know what day it is. It's the 27th, right? Okay, it's the 27th. It comes out on October 28th. Just in time for Halloween and scary stuff and all of that. So, the unfortunate thing about this movie, and it's not really an unfortunate thing about the movie, it's more so an unfortunate thing about the marketing for the movie, because the first trailer, okay, yeah, you get what's going on. The second trailer, it tells you even more, and it shows you even more, and it shows you things that really should have just kept secret. Not that there's anything in this movie that's super groundbreaking and awe-inspiring and all this is just so... Nothing like that, but I think it would have helped to go into this film knowing very little at all about the overall plot and the character. Y'all, I don't even remember her name. That's terrible. Anne. Her name was Anne. Ooh, Sister Anne. Okay. I think it would have been best going in here not really knowing much of anything about the details of her character and this demon. So in the trailer, you know certain things, so you go into this already understanding certain aspects of this story and her, and I would have preferred not. It didn't detract from my appreciation of this film, but I almost feel like if I had gone into this not knowing really anything beyond the fact that it was an exorcism type of movie, a demonic possession type of film, I feel like I would have enjoyed it even more. Though it's still pretty solid. And there's different reasons why I felt like it was solid. It was pretty cleverly written. It was solid. There's nothing really more I can say about the writing. There weren't really too many moments where I saw huge holes in logic or the way the writing was, with it not counting something that happens. No, that doesn't even really... I don't want to give too much away, okay? So I'm going to be vague, but the story was engaging. The characters were interesting and likable. I liked all of the characters in here. There was, the only real villain in this movie is the devil or Satan or the demon that's possessing people. This story doesn't get too bogged down in human conflict, except with regard to things that may have happened in a person's past that gives them great guilt and shame, that sort of stuff. But it's really a very simple story. It's about this sister, this nun, who is involved in some exorcism stuff, and she's going to this school or this, I don't know what this is, seminary or whatever it is, and she's going there. And it's in Boston, it's in Massachusetts, and she's learning about demonic possession. She has stuff from her past that still haunts her. And this place where she is, I don't even remember what they called the name of the place. They talk about it at the very beginning. And you see the part where she was pushing the cart. Like, this is a place where they hold people who are suspected of being possessed by a demon. But before they go full-fledged with the exorcism and stuff like that, they have them examined first by doctors and psychiatrists and things, because they go over the history of exorcisms in the Catholic Church and basically all the terrible things that they did in the name of driving demons out. And so they make it a point to let you know that that's not the way they handle things anymore, and they try to be really careful. And they, the priests that go in and do the exorcisms, they're highly trained and they know how to deal with these demons as best they can. They don't always win, because certain cases get to the point that they're deemed terminal, where death is imminent. The demon, the possession, is going to cause this person to die imminently. And they have very little chance of being saved, even though every once in a while they can be. So she forms an attachment to this little girl that's in there. It's very obvious by the trailer, she's possessed. And throughout the course of her attachment with this little girl, and the things that she remembers from her past, and the struggles that it shows that she has, she goes on this journey of I'm trying to say self-discovery. That sounds so cliche. It's not really. I think what it is that it reveals more to you, the audience, about her backstory as it goes on. So she's not really on a self-discovery role. I mean, she sort of is, but at the same time, I feel like it's more the audience that is going along this discovery journey as you find out more about her, what drives her, and the things that she holds onto from her past that have affected the way she is today, things like that. So as you probably, if you saw the trailer, they talk about no woman has been an exorcist, because it's only the men that do it. So it kind of makes you think, oh, this is going to be one of those rah, hear me roar, I'm woman type of thing. And the woman can do things that the priest for millennia and the Vatican Church, for the Catholic Church and the Vatican, haven't been able to do for thousands of years, and she can go in and she can just, but surprisingly, it was not like that. That was one of the things I really liked about this. Yes, they do broach that subject about how women aren't allowed to be exorcists. And there's this interesting little scene that happens with her and that lady right there, the lady that was beside her, and also the head father guys, the dude he played in Indiana Jones, and he also played in Harry Potter. And I don't remember his name, but I know he's a British guy. And they're having this conversation, the three of them. And he's basically wanting to teach her. He wants to let her come in the class and observe, because this is all talked about in the trailer. And he says to the older nun, the head nun lady, whatever, I don't even remember her name. And they were talking, and as the younger girl goes off, because they made it a point, women aren't allowed and because, but at the same time, you guys, the way that was done, that dude right there, the way it was portrayed, it didn't come across as your stereotypical preachy sort of narrative at all. And she didn't come across as any sort of Mary Sue type, I know better than everybody else around me. So it really didn't. It worked. They did it well. And so this scene in particular really helped me appreciate how they were trying to handle this sort of subject matter. A woman that's going to be doing an exorcism potentially, when that's just not heard of. And so basically, they had this little talk. The guy was saying that he wanted for her to be able to come in and observe. And the nun lady, the head nun, was saying, this is just not something that's done, and there's a reason. Women are the nurturers, we're the caregivers, and that sort of thing. But it wasn't done in a ridiculous cartoony way. This dialogue didn't happen that way. And so when the younger girl left, when Anne left, the two were talking, the head nun and the head priest. He wasn't the head priest. Ben Cross was the head priest of that location, which is interesting. This was probably one of his last roles, if not his last role, because he died in 2020. So I think they were filming this in 2018 or 2019, probably. I thought they were talking about the dates 2018 at some point. So I was thinking, wow, wonder if they filmed it as far back as that, and they might have. But anyway, one of the head priests and this head nun were talking, and the priest guy said, the priest teacher said that he wanted her, he said she wants to learn, and she wants to learn, and he wanted to be able to teach her because she wants to learn this stuff, and it's good for her to know these things so she's better prepared and protected for herself. And the lady said, I want to protect her. And so I really appreciated that conversation between them, because it showed sort of the slight friction in their viewpoints, but at the same time, completely understandable viewpoints that they had. And it was at that point that I felt like this was definitely not going to be the type of movie that was going to be preachy about women and men, and not at all. And it really ended up being that way. There were things that happened that they could have made it to where, okay, so there was stuff that happened that made it very clear that she didn't know it all. Not that she... Sorry, hold on a minute. What was I saying when you walked in? What was I saying? Do you remember what I was saying? I'm recording a review and I don't remember what the heck I was saying when you walked. I'm not gonna start all over. What was I saying? Oh, I think I was saying something about how they don't present her as someone that's a know-it-all, and they don't present her as someone that's able to do this thing right away because she's just so perfect. They show that she really doesn't know a lot of stuff. She doesn't really fully understand what she's dealing with. And at some point, one of the head priest, I think that's in the Ben Cross, he said, you think you know better than the thousands of years that the church has been in that sort of thing. And you could have looked at that as, well, he's just being a complete asshole. But the point he was making is there were people that had come before her for thousands of years in a similar sort of position, in the church, fighting these demons. Why do you think you're so special? And she made a point to say, no, I don't think that. And she really didn't seem to. And something that I appreciated about how she ended up becoming involved in these different things that she was involved. It wasn't just because, oh, you're the only one that can do it, so we need to no, the way they wrote the events that happened, to me, it made complete sense as to why she was where she was. It wasn't just because she's this great woman and she knows all this stuff and she's just the bestest ever. No, there were logical reasons why she was where she ended up being. And that's another thing that I really appreciated about this film. What else? There's really not a ton more to say about this. I'm trying to interpret a note that I wrote to myself. Now, bear in mind, when I'm watching these movies, I'm taking notes on my cell phone. Yes, the phone is lit up, but the keyboard's so small, I can't always type correctly. Plus, I'm trying to keep paying attention while I'm writing these notes. And I wrote this note, and I don't know what the heck I meant. This is what I wrote. Should have dragged her for flashback. What? I have no clue. I don't know what I meant when I wrote that. No clue. But there were flashbacks that you see of her life when she was younger, and those are given to you piecemeal. I felt like the introduction to her character was really solid. This movie's not long. If I didn't say that already, it's only about an hour and a half. But I felt like they used that time wisely, and things didn't feel overly rushed. To be honest, it felt like it was paced very well, and yet at the same time, even though it was as short as it was, I felt a good connection with the characters. They didn't feel like they were just someone that was thrown in there. The actors were really good. I felt like everybody did an excellent job in here, especially the main actor. And I don't know her name, and I don't know if I've seen her anywhere else, but I really, really liked her performance in here. She came across as very natural, especially her interaction with the little girl. And the little girl was very good. The little girl reminded me of Drew Barrymore, a young Drew Barrymore, a child Drew Barrymore, except better. Now, Drew Barrymore was a decent enough actor, but she wasn't like the best ever child actor I've ever seen. She was okay. Sometimes she did much better than at other times, but this little girl reminded me of her in her performance. And I thought everyone in here did a really good job. I really, really liked her. And I'm going to see if I can find other things she's been in so that I can compare her performance in those things with her performance in this. I enjoyed this enough that it's probably something I'll add to my collection. So yeah, I was happy, but just remind yourself that this is a horror movie, so there's going to be some formulaic, cliche, sort of tropey stuff that happens. It's not completely saturated with it, but just remember what the formula often is, as I've mentioned before. I don't think that's going to spoil it for you. And it wasn't anything that made me ultimately be disappointed with this film. I felt like this was more solid in different ways than, let's say, Barbarian and Smile even. And I liked Smile all the way up until the end. But it's pretty solid. And hopefully, as a horror fan, whoever out there is a horror fan, hopefully you guys will be as satisfied with this as I was. Yes, I recommend it. Thumbs up. Okay, I don't have anything else, so I'm going to wrap this up for now, and I need to go get some coffee. I'm ready for some coffee. Bye.